Last week, we had a demo about email limits. And I think Zoltan made a demo, another one, about testing. I don't remember what it was about.
It was about the security with ZAP or something like that. ZAP services.
Yes. It was not testing. Yeah, kind of security. Testing. Automation. I'll say it this way. What was the name of the thing? ZAP?
I don't know. I think so. Look it up.
Yeah,
And,
ZAP.
And I remember Mike had a demo, but we couldn't do that. We don't have time. Topics. I think we talked about, I mentioned telemetry. That's something we should look into.
I think it was a feedback for that demo we've seen with monitoring email.
Yep, that's why I mentioned telemetry metering. So we should add more layers about stuff. So we can build dashboard and have stats and analytics about what's happening on your side. Okay, today is Wednesday. And we have demos. Yep. Have to fix, maybe. We have status.
Hopefully, we have time to look at that the benchmarks for that the YesSql update.
I updated the comments.
Ah.
I spent the last hour and a half looking into it. I still can't figure out why it doesn't work. With 9.0, I'm like, I see what's happening. I don't know how it works continuously because I see the issue. I don't know how I get the charts. I have no clue. I went on the server and I see it's working. I'm like, I don't get it. I need to see. Wait, actually, I think it ran today, so I could see the command line that was running. Probably. I'll try again later. So, culture one since last week was the makes upgrade to make it backward compatible. It was in November, so I was like, oh, we have seen that already. Let's see. We have this one, fix an exception when creating content type without any part. That's a pretty lame exception here. Well, actually, this is wrong, and this is wrong. Right? You all agree that both before and after are wrong.
Why is the after wrong?
Okay. Because this is everyone understands that it is wrong. And this one is confusing because it got the curly brace, right? But when does the curly brace work?
Because the string.
Yes, in two cases. First, this is a mix of two different things, so there are two issues. So this would work if it was an interpreted string with a $$ here, or if it's because this thing here, this is the name of the
put a 0.
Yeah, or if you actually expect it to be a format, this would be a 0. But this exception don't support formatting. So even if you put 0, it won't work. This
Yeah.
argument here is the name of the argument in the argument exception. So this one is good, but it doesn't. So he
Need a dollar sign.
yeah, it needs a dollar sign. What they actually want is a dollar sign. Yeah. So this is missing dollar sign. Yeah, good. So, but I think the issue is here. So if there is no part names, so there used to be an exception, a null ref exception here because this would be null. So this can be null since then. It should be an empty error. This should not be called with null. Maybe during the refactoring of this one. If there was any refactoring of this one, but yeah, this should not be called with null. And this is where nullable foundation would help. Like we would ensure that this thing can't be null, and then we don't have to check for nullability. But okay, so let's do that. But we should understand when this is called with a null value. First, we should not. Then another test. Good. Thanks. 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 We don't know. Multi-target, Jean-Thierry. One player. Again. Oh, we are back to this one. It's crazy. I'm sure it's not the last one. Oh no, wait, we did no, it wasn't the last one. We did some triage and it was a step after that. Okay, so blah 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 blah, and now it's the last thing. I believe this is where we have. No, it's back to the dash of platform here with a single file. Okay, well we'll let it go and we'll see when it's done, how it's done. NLog update. SixLabors.ImageSharp update. There is a 4.0 that's about to ship. BenchmarkDotNet update. Typo registration, whatever. Lowercase d. JavaScript. Oh, it's JavaScript. George and crimes. Docker build and publish again. Like the last time is yet. CSS style table. Trumbowyg. This is a new feature. Aren't you making a demo? I forgot that.
There is a screencast with the.
Okay, so I will point to the screencast then. 14.8.3. This one. I made a new feature such that you can define what is actually sent to Elasticsearch when you type some terms in the search box before it will send a search query to a specific index. Now you can have your own template and inject the terms inside the template. And this example is enabling fuzziness automatically, whatever you type here. So that's the demo screencast. Job. I'll go back here. Elasticsearch module in option, still called term.
Yeah, we never decided to change it.
Okay, that will work.
No, because you even said, I guess, the term is fine because
No,
you
but
couldn't come up with a better name.
I wanted something like plural, but that's okay.
Terms.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt better than term, but that doesn't matter. And we can even change it later and have it backward compatible by setting two things. So who cares if someone complains? So custom. JavaScript encoder. Okay, because we need to render, this is a JSON document, so we need to render the template encoding any property into JSON, so we can't inject custom queries, because here the risk, if I go back to the demo, the terms here, see, it's user input, and we inject them in a query that will be sent to Elasticsearch to return some results from search engine. So you don't know what kind of things you can access with a query like that, or what kind of bad things like too many terms or weird things that will break the template or craft a new template like SQL injection. So by using JavaScript encoder by default when the template is rendered, you are sure that that thing will be encoded and won't be able to go over the boundaries of the double quote here. So like every double quote will be also encoded. That's for safety. The same way Razor will automatically HTML encode a variable unless you specifically in your template say, I don't want to encode. What is that? Oh, that's for validating the view. I don't like all these helper methods like this. Yes, if people want to do that, they can do that.
Yeah, and John Theory actually with his conversion from JSON, he actually pointed out something that, and he removed those.
Okay.
He has a PR.
Yeah, this is part of the config for each index now. Okay. What is that thing? Search request.
Just here, basically, I'm disposing the memory stream.
You are,
Yeah,
well,
that's
and
only
you are
different.
just refactoring the code that was before. I'm just wondering, what was that? What is it still? So query get bytes. What is that thing? Elastic.
That query is a string. The query, like the query you've seen earlier, it's a custom query, and then you convert it to a string.
What is that thing? Elastic was is that how is that exposed? How do we access that thing? That's the service, just a standard service. Search async string query because it has to be serialized. Search request. Yeah, it's weird that it requires a string. Yeah. And yeah.
Well,
so
that's a stream, yeah. So that the serializer that the Nest package provide accepts a stream. So that's why we're taking a
oh yeah,
string
this isn't
convert.
allocating. Okay, this isn't allocating because we are passing an array. This is just an allocation. And okay. So I thought there was two allocations with an array stream, so it's fine.
No, the main difference before is just we were passing the new stream down to the method, but we never disposed it. So with that little change, we just dispose it whenever we're done with it.
Yeah, I was worried about even before your change, like what was happening with it, well, why it was using a string and it was allocating more memory than necessary. So this is allocating. Yeah. This is not. If you didn't pass an array, it will allocate an array. Because we are passing an array, it's using this array to string over the array. So it's completely free. So even the using is useless.
Correct. Yeah, in this case it is, but
I
think it's better practice to always
and
dispose.
Otherwise, I would have to listen to use a pool of array to reuse the same array instead of asking the memory stream to create a new array every time. Unless memory stream is doing that, but I don't think so. Okay. Took an image again. I want to look. Got it. A Jint. OpenID routes asynchronously. Yeah, that's weird. Why? It was async already. That's weird. Why don't we fix this problem? Catch, fix the index. Runner analyzer xunit missing a weight async. Ah, data protection issue. Did you find was it to fix a bug? Someone find an issue?
No, because we had recently made some changes around initializing that blog, and then this was missed because now that method is called asynchronously. Before it wasn't, so that's why we're using render. Okay. But now because we can.
I thought because missing a weight async, I thought we were missing a weight on this method. No, it was not. It was a sync.
That's a different method.
Yeah. Okay. Dispose file window. But why? I disagree with that. If you provide an async and a sync, the sync one should not just wrap the async with get away to get result. Keep the old code in the read to end and the async code in the async one.
What's the reason?
Because you are doing sync over async here. Instead of just doing sync. So this will block. And before it wasn't. Well, this will block also, but natively, not just by using the task that you do get away to get result. There is no point. You should just provide and I'm sure if you Google like method sync and async, the recommendation is don't do that. Code the actual code that should be code when it's not async. If you can, and you can because it was the case before.
Yeah, I'll update that. Okay. Should we put a maybe not? I was thinking about marking obsolete, but I think what you're suggesting is maybe smaller. It has a tiny bit better penalty or less penalty than utilizing the async. I don't know if it's.
There is an official guide for that, and definitely that's what they said to me. Okay, annotate manipulator. Good. What else? We got removed from mine. System queries. Okay, you wanted to look at this PR. Yeah. Where is the YesSql PR? This one.
Yeah, there you go.
So this is to update to YesSql 4, which has new async methods, and it's breaking everything. Because it's using the new async methods for this schema builder.
It's actually not breaking anything, but
yeah,
you'll have warnings all over the place.
Yeah. And it's touching all the code, like all the saves, become save async. The reason is because the save is supposed to just mark an entity to be saved when the session is disposed and committed. But now, because the save actually is not just enlisted, but could resolve some new ID ranges to the database, it's done async now. Everywhere. So everything has to change. So I benchmark everything. Share my results in the form of a table comparing the main branch and this branch. And what's interesting here is the request per second, which is the same. Okay, so it didn't impact the request per second, which means this is not a bottleneck. It doesn't impact. We have more things. We have things that do more than just the async. First, something I noticed is, so this result here is for SQLite, but I also ran it for PostgreSQL, and I got the same. Actually, I still have it there, I believe. Yeah, that's the table for PostgreSQL. I didn't share it because it was the same result. For PostgreSQL, we have slower, 12,000 requests per second, but it's the same thing. And we have the same kind of allocations. You see 2.8 gigabytes of data per second, 2.8 per second. Something that was common to the two of them was the reduction in the GC heap size. So the amount of memory that the GC has to allocate. This is the max, so I don't know when it happens, but I assume it's during the full, during the peak of the request.
So the second column is the updated code, and the left column is the. Oh, I see it.
And that's why the delta here is comparing the change versus the base. So the GC heap size is minus 23%, and here the same thing, minus 20% for PostgreSQL. This is confirming that the branch has some impact there, which is interesting. What's interesting here is that you see the max number of GC is 31 per second. So this is Gen 0 GC, so the short-lived instances. Example, a string, a local string, right, from a request. There is no Gen 1 or Gen 2, which is good, or at least max is 1 per second, the max, so maybe it must be 0, but 31 max. So what we could do, however, if I run it again, using the branch, using Linux on PostgreSQL, if I do --charts, I will run it, should take a minute, because the issue with the max is when does the max happen? Like it could be on startup, there is a lot of GC, and then during the actual usage of the application, there is nothing more. So this is misguiding. So we'll see when I run that, we'll see when it's happening. But that's what matters here. We should also look at the logs. This is not good to see all these logs increase. Might be unrelated just. It's also a max, so maybe there's a peak and the peak changes. That's why latencies like these are interesting, because you see the longest request versus the average request. So I was looking at the max log contention. Yeah, it's the same for SQLite, so it's just maybe a glitch here. Maybe this one was too few. It's just interesting that SQLite has more logs than PostgreSQL. I can explain because it's a file system and only one writer, for instance. So you have to log stuff. So let's see how it's at. So 15 seconds left.
Is that Crank something you have, or is that a project?
It's open source. It's public. Anyone can use that. Yeah. 18. And using this command line, you could do exactly the same thing on a different branch. You see here, I'm saying use the branch MA upgrade YesSql, but you could have your own branch and point to your another branch, right, to do the same benchmark. So chart. So the difference with the -- chart is that we can see the evolution of metric over the time of the benchmark. So this empty here is because the application, probably the load generator, this is from the start of the application. So the load generator is currently building, then the load generator starts, and there is a dip here, which is probably because the load generator has two phases, a warm up, and then it stops and starts a new load generation, which is the one that we measure. The warm up is used for 15 seconds, such that the JIT can work and JIT all the methods. So you can see here the number of methods that are JITted when the application starts. As the code is used, the jitter will JIT all the methods that are used. And then this is for 15 seconds. And this is when we start measuring the performance. Because otherwise we are measuring unoptimized methods. And also during the phase of the application where it's using some CPU, to Jint, the method. So the actual numbers we are getting are from there. And from there, we are getting the load numbers, these latencies and requests per second. So something we can look at here is the max GC heap. So this is what we wanted to see. And you see that the peak of max GC heap, so allocated memory by the GC available for the app, is at the beginning. So when the application starts up. And after that, the GC heap is super low. So the size of the lines here, there are only 8 possible sizes because it's ASCII, and that's how it's represented in ASCII in this case. But what it means is that this one is the peak. It uses 8 pixels, which is the 100%. So the max, which is 482. So you see overall it's 1 or 2 pixels, which means it's up to 16% or 20% of this value on the steady state run. So at the peak usage, it's like 50 megabytes, which is super interesting to know that the peak is just on startup and then your application is not using much. Same thing for the private memory, and we can see sometimes you see that it correlates with the GCs. So if we look at the Gen 1 and Gen 2, we see it's also happening on the startup. And then there is no more Gen 1, no more Gen 2. Okay. And however, the more we use the app, the more the Gen 0 GC happen, which means this 32 is not on startup. It's during the actual usage of the app. Okay. And during the full load, it's actually at the peak. Like it's always doing 32 GCs per second. Every second you have 32 calls of the garbage collector, which is a lot in terms of numbers. But then what's interesting is to look at the time it spends. So there is also the time, percent of times of CPU in GC. So 5% of the time of the CPU time is spent in the GC. And we can see also during the first part of the load, it's not much, but during the peak part of the load, it's the.
Well, we don't call the garbage collector directly, right?
No.
That's what I'm saying. So,
but
the fact that it's doing that is that
it's because we allocate a lot. Yeah, because if you don't allocate, it doesn't have to work. Like if you never do anything in your house, you never have to clean anything, right? Because same thing. So we don't trigger it. But if it's hard, it's because of us. It's because we allocate a lot here. But what's interesting is that we seem to either reuse all the long-lived objects. So that's kind of fine. These ones are expensive. This one is less expensive, but it's still 5% of the CPU in the GC. That's kind of a lot. But in the end, we still have to do stuff. So we can't say, oh, let's do nothing because we don't want the GC to work. We have to do the minimum amount of things that we should do. So we should look into the allocations to see why we can reduce allocations such that there is less GC happening.
And you ran this with the blog recipe, the apps?
It's the blog recipe, and the scenario is just hitting the about page, which is a simple page. But I use this one because it's doing a one database query. It's doing a template in Liquid. So it's the full thing. It's rendering the menu, the widgets and everything, but one page. It's just one page, the fastest it can. With like, I don't know, something like 100 users, like connections, hitting at maximum. Actually, look at that, but yeah, doesn't matter. So that, and yeah, so and you see that then the working set that you see on the task, the max here is 942, which is at the peak here. So this is probably half of it, like 500 megabytes on a steady state is reserved, but also it depends on your machine. This machine has like 32 gigs of RAM, the machine where it's running. So that's why it's interesting. And the CPU was at the max, which is good. What else? Assembly study, we don't care. Fragmentation, I never know what it means. Probably, yeah, because the GC is always allocating, reallocating, so the memory is probably not contiguous when it has to allocate memory. So I should know. Low fragmentation is important. I don't know what number is good or bad. Timers, I would not expect 8. These are the number of timer objects that are there all the time. Why it's changing? That's weird. I don't know. Exception at the peak. It will be interesting to know which ones they are. Usually we see some when the load is stopping and starting because it closes connections, and then the server says, oh, the connection has been closed unexpectedly by the client, so it throws an exception, but we don't see them here, just at the startup. That's interesting. Or maybe these are exceptions we expect and we use in our tree just to bubble up errors. It doesn't matter for perf because it's just in startup. So that's what it says. And the latencies are also interesting. So at max you use, so the latency here, you will see a big difference between SQLite and SQL Server. So this is SQLite here. This is PostgreSQL. So the 50th percentile mean half of it was under 2 milliseconds and half of it was above 2 milliseconds. So and the mean, is there a mean? Yet there is a mean latency. The average of all the requests is 3.5 milliseconds. And here the same thing, 2.5. The max was 50. The max was 52. The 99th percentile is 9, and the 99th are actually the same almost. Like SQLite a little bit slower than PostgreSQL, but it's probably almost the same. So, but we can assume that all the requests, most of the requests went under 5 milliseconds. 95th percentile. 5 milliseconds to get the response of the about page, which has a database code, which is great. It's fast. On the peak load, when it was serving 12,000 requests per second. Okay. So 12,000 requests per second during the day. This is millions and millions of requests during the day.
And did you specify that in your command when you ran that command? You told it to create. Did you like in the?
So the command here, the benchmark is open, and I will tell you how many. And this one. So the command was using Bombardier. It says open 32 connections. Okay, for 15 seconds. And each connection will issue a request on /about with these headers. And once each connection gets the result, it sends a new request. So it goes as fast as it can. Okay, give me the page as soon as it gets the response from the page. So there are 32 connections like this. Imagine 32 users. And it does that, and then it returns how many requests per second it was able to send.
I see.
Okay. But when you want to measure latency comparisons, it's better to have a fixed request rate of requests per second. And I could do that. I didn't, but I could just say -- load variables rate equals, let's say, 1,000. Because that's usually how an app works. Like, you know that your application will be hit by that many connections or that many users and will do that many requests per second. Okay. So this is good to know how much you can serve and at max, and what will be the expected behavior from the user's perspective, the SLA. And now this is, let's say we have the predefined rate, what we latency that we expect our users to get on a standard use, not the max rate that the server can support. Because that's how it works. You never max out your server. You usually size your server to support the load that you are expecting, and then you will be able to know what's the latency that they will experience.
Are you able to post those commands that you're using in that PR for references?
Yeah, but you will have to. Yeah, I can, but you will still need to have a machines, even locally, that will run the thing. So I mean,
yeah. Just in case, for reference, we can always go back and try reproducing this. Thank you.
So with a load of 1,000 requests per second fixed, we will expect the latency to be smaller, so faster, less density. And same thing, it will do a warm up of 1,000 requests per second for 15 seconds, and then 15 seconds of the same thing, but actually measuring the result. And what we can do also with the tool, and that's what we did last time we benchmarked and we tried to optimize, we can ask for trace. So we can tell the server, take a snapshot of what's happening in terms of allocations and usage. So we can see what is actually allocating, where is the CPU spent, what is blocking, where are the logs. You see now the 99, like everyone is getting less than 2 milliseconds, 1 millisecond of response time on these machines. That's great. This is with Postgres, right? This is with Postgres. Yeah. And then the allocation obviously is much less, like 10 times lower. CPU usage is only 26%. Much lesser garbage collections, 10 times less. And the variation in Gen 0 size should match when the GC happens. And here there is some Gen 1 and Gen 2, which is interesting because we didn't see any before. Time in GC 1%. Just at that point here, I don't know what's happening there, but there was some GC, and then no more. Maybe if we run longer, it will show up again. So yeah, cool. Okay. Well, that's it.
So we're good with that PR. We
Yeah.
don't see any issues, right? No red flags.
People will complain, but not me. I will complain about the complainers. I will tell them no, change your code.
I mean, at the end of the day, we're trying to improve things. So
Yeah,
we find room to improve. We're trying.
But they will be like, no, I didn't want that to be improved. I didn't care. I just broke my code.
We didn't break code. It was just you have to deal with the warnings if you don't want to do the work.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good answer. Questions, comments, other topics?
Thank you.
I just want to see if there is anything important here.
If you have time, there is one PR about changing how Elastic work. I don't know if you want to look at it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It's 1.4. It might be the top. We'll go top.
What?
Ping, the first one. Oh, there you go. Yeah. See, one of the issues we had well, before this PR is that during the startup, we ping Elastic Client. So we make a request during the startup, which is kind of annoying. I don't know. So now there's a way. So I ping it during the initialize.
But why do we do that?
I guess to validate that the server is live.
No, we should not do that.
Correct. I agree.
At all.
So, well, yes. There's a way that we can call it asynchronously initialize and
that,
capture the state.
Like, do we do that for database or whatever, for Redis? Or so it's a health check. The health check should work maybe when it's invoked. I don't know. That's weird.
I agree with you. I think the reason why they did it is that because they don't want to register the routes if the server isn't available. And so with the update, I still managed to do that, but we're not blocking anybody.
You can even do that on the activating event.
Look at on the file, the Elasticsearch options setup on the left side. If you go to that file, you'll see last one. Yeah. So what I did there is, as you can see, I ping it asynchronously during the initialize phase, which is it happens at the end of the request. So after the service has been set up, and then we capture in a singleton object if that option is server validated or not. But if you think it's,
I will not even do that. And we should have a discussion about when do we check that services are alive or not. Like, because yes, we checked on startup. It's interesting because if it's down, we know that we should not start the service. Fine, we should not start. We should fix Elasticsearch. But at the same time, what if it's down in 10 minutes? What do we do in that case? We don't ping again. So, I mean, it was useless to ping in the beginning. We should actually ping all the time. So why in the beginning then? Because it's an issue in the beginning. Let's just do it in a schedule as a health check. And maybe we have a health check service. Maybe that should be the point of implementing the Elasticsearch health check integration with our feature health check that will tell us that the service is unhealthy and why, right? Not about just on startup. So we should integrate the health check for Elasticsearch, and there is probably a package for that, because I will show you one of the things. So AspNet health check. I can type AspNet. This one. Okay, 1 second. I know where it is. So health check extensions. Where is this library? There is a repository. Well, it's not file on that. Packages. Yeah. AspNetCore health check, blah blah blah. One, and we open the project. So this is a very nice project. AspNetCore health check. It's a list of health checks for everything to integrate with AspNetCore. Yeah. And there is one for Elasticsearch. So this will integrate the health check service for AspNetCore services. So it's all integrated, and then we can have an endpoint that will tell if Orchard is healthy, because all its services are also healthy, and we already have a module to integrate that. So we just need to to do that, to integrate that, and maybe extend it so we can alert the admin if it becomes unhealthy. I don't know, using a timer which exists already in AspNetCore. There is a service to check the health check on a schedule.
Maybe this is nice to have it on that one time. Remember, Hisham tried or created a dashboard for a health check.
True.
I don't
true.
think we never merged it.
Yeah, and I think he made the module, the health check module, not sure. So yeah, we should extend on that. But the code you showed me, no, it should not be there. I don't think so. We should have something that is integrated that does health checks on startup if we want. I don't agree. It should be some background task, timer-based stuff that is integrated or that exists already in AspNetCore.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. I just didn't want to take it off because it was there. And
try to take it off and ping the people who made it to see if they already believe that it should be.
Didn't you made it? I thought you made it. No,
I don't do anything.
Originally the Elasticsearch didn't you?
Yep.
No.
Well, I think it's
Jasmine.
Jasmine, yeah.
Okay.
Good, thank you. Okay, let's end on this one. But good work looking at that and making it better. For the sake of everyone else who's actually using it. Well, you are using it, but it's just all good. Okay, let's go. It's time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks everyone. See you on Thursday. Oh, wait. I will stop sharing my screen because I need to check that I don't have a conflict meeting on Thursday. One second. All good. See you on Thursday. Bye.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.